Hey, Matt.
Hey.
Hey, what's up? So I got some news.
Okay.
It's a little depressing.
Oh, just
So
what we need right now.
I just want to make sure you're in a good headspace.
Well, I'm not, but
It's fine. You know
lay
what?
it on
It's
me.
fine. So I've been having very strange stomach issues for a kind of a long time. And I wasn't sure what was causing it. I thought it might be food related or I had been sick for a little while there, but that was mostly with strep and throat issues.
Okay.
I realized what the culprit is. I will give you two guesses as to what the food culprit is. And viewers at home and listeners at home, now's the time to lock in your answers. What food is upsetting Per's stomach? Okay, Matt?
Here's what I want you guys to do. Here's what I want people at home to do. Write it on a Post-it.
Write it on a Post-it right now.
And then Roses will say it.
Uh-huh.
And then I want you to tweet, blue sky us.
Yeah, blue sky us.
Skeet. Ew, I hate that.
Ew.
Skeet us a image.
Hate that.
Of what your guess was.
Okay, what is your guess though, Matt?
I already know the 4 people who are going to do that, and no one else will. Okay. We love you guys. What could be causing? Okay. I'm going to guess this is an acid thing. So I'm going to guess. Oh God. Okay. I'm a split between sugar and nightshades.
Okay.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah!
You got it.
Yes.
I can't believe that. It could have been anything. It could have been anything.
Well, I have really bad. I have a hiatal hernia. Do you want to know what that means?
Your stomach is fucked.
It means when I breathe, a little bit of my esophagus, a little bit of my stomach slips in and out of my esophagus.
Oh God!
Isn't that really appetizing?
It's wild.
So I have a hiatal hernia, and so I will have acid reflux problems my whole life, no matter whether I change my life or diet. It'll get better if I change my diet, and I'm just not because I'm really
because we can't live without cheese,
cool.
okay?
So anyway, I know what tomatoes do to me.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked, and I was having very extreme acid and stomach problem. And I'll spare you guys the detail, but you could guess stomach problems. You could just guess, and you'd probably be right. And I just noticed that every time I eat something with tomatoes in it, it's bad news, man. Yeah. So basically, I'm being poisoned by tomatoes.
Yeah.
And that
the attack of the killer tomatoes, they call it.
Yeah, literally. I'm going to draw a picture of that. I'm going to draw a picture of me being poisoned by tomatoes.
Well, all right. Well, here's what you said to me before we started this podcast. Before you hit record, you said, I have the best fucking intro that anybody has ever heard. This is going to knock their socks off. And you know what? You were right.
Yeah, we're right. Cue music. Hey everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. I am one of your hosts, Pushing Up Roses. Roses for short. I'm allergic to tomatoes, apparently. Well, allergic, is that the right word? I don't know. I'm sensitive. Very sensitive to tomatoes. And with me is my co-host, who I think is also sensitive to tomatoes, Matt Ockamp.
Yeah, I wasn't sensitive to tomatoes at first, but they bullied me really bad in high school.
Damn.
Yeah.
Does this mean I can't eat pizza? I'm a little confused.
I just eat the pizza anyway. Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh boy.
I find that my stomach gets a little fucked up with any raw vegetables. Just if I eat salad, it just feels like a jumble of stuff in my stomach.
It stays a salad in your stomach.
Exactly. Yeah. And so look, everything. This body is a wasteland. Everything in here withers.
It's not a wonderland. It's a wasteland.
It's a wasteland. So what I do, the thing I notice is like sandwiches and pizza, like big heavy things, help even that out. Like, granted, I guarantee they make my acid reflux worse in the long run, but in the short run, my stomach doesn't get all gurgly when I eat a pizza. So oftentimes, if I eat a salad, I will also like, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna have salad tonight, so I should get a piece of pizza too.
Great. All right.
So yeah, that makes me incapable of ever being healthy, I guess.
Like,
Or
I think
sometimes
I
I'll
do
just
eat
do
pretty healthy.
Sometimes I'll just do a big chunky piece of bread. That also can help.
Yeah.
But pizza doesn't hurt, as it doesn't really fuck me up that much because there's all the cheese and bread that I guess negates the acid in the, or it doesn't. It makes it worse, but it just makes it take longer to hurt.
It kind of fucks me up, but what am I supposed to do? I live in Chicago. I love pizza. What do I do?
You Chicagoans just load fucking tomatoes on that pizza.
What?
You guys, Chicagoans put so much tomato sauce on their pizza.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Yeah, that is true. We love a good tomato sauce. My favorite is like a sweeter sauce on a pizza, which is very South Side Chicago. But now what am I supposed to do? I can't go on.
Some types of Chicago pizza, right, are like the tomato sauce is like chunky, right?
Chunky, yes, chunky. And that's like the worst.
It's not just like smooth sauce. It's like
correct.
Just like a pile of diced tomatoes lightly blended.
Yes, yeah, sometimes. I like that too. I like chunky sauce, I like sweet sauce. I like it all. I like every pizza ever made, and now it's over for me.
I'll tell you this, when I gave up meat, I hated chili when I ate meat, because
I love chili.
I thought chili was this thing that was just tomatoes and beans and meat, and the end. And that kind of chili, which people love, just kind of tastes like metal. It does not taste good. But vegetarian chili is amazing.
I had veggie chili today. It was so good.
It's so good, right?
So good. It was tomatoes, so I'm in pain.
You put a fucking dollop of sour cream on there.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
A little bit of cheese. Maybe I had croutons with mine today. It was really good.
Oh, get some like French bread and like scoop up the chili with the French bread and eat it that way. Oh,
mine came with cornbread actually, and it was fucking good.
Oh man, I can't. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Cornbread?
No, I gotta go find this. I gotta go find something to eat right
food.
Now.
We're starving.
Now I'm starving. We literally, we were chatting, and then we both said, "Hold on," to go eat.
Yeah,
and came back and started recording. But now I'm starving again.
I eat rice because I'm afraid to eat anything that is gonna upset my stomach. So I just eat the most bland food possible.
So the brat diet. Wait, hold on.
The brat diet, yeah.
So I love vegetarian chili, but the two like most flavorful. Well, the most flavorful ingredient of vegetarian chili is onions, which fuck me up.
Oh,
and then
that's true.
one of the biggest ingredients of vegetarian chili is tomatoes, which fuck me up.
Yeah.
So I love vegetarian chili. I could barely eat it. But also, isn't it funny the way the term brat has evolved?
Yeah.
So when you think of the brat diet, which is what bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast.
Toast, yeah.
And it's supposed to like help bad tummy troubles.
It's like calm your stomach. At least not make it worse, you know?
But I love thinking about it in terms of like the modern usage of brat.
Like brat summer.
Like,
my brat summer has rice in it.
My brat summer bananas, right? Like when they're like Kamala is brat. Kamala is bananas, rice, applesauce,
and toast.
Kamala is good for an upset stomach.
Don't make fun of me and my brat diet. How dare you? I'm over here dying because I can't have pizza.
Do you want, I don't have much to say, but do you want a quick teeth update?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Teeth update right here.
Teeth update. So, as you know, my wisdom teeth healing.
Yeah.
I've had to go back twice because I just can't. Right now, what I've got is like my jaw is just in excruciating pain. Right?
Oh no.
It's like the muscles are sore.
Yep.
So, like the sockets, whatever, they're closing up slowly. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're annoying, sometimes they're not. Whatever.
Mhm.
I have to inject water into them every night to flush all the food
Flush
out, and
'em, yep.
it's fucked up how much food comes out of these fucking mouth holes. But like an entire piece of macaroni just like floods out into the sink, and I'm like, what the hell? So I
Oh dear.
go back to the oral surgeon, right? To say like, oh, my jaw hurts. And she's like, I think it's muscular. Hold on. And she just reaches in my mouth and just starts squeezing
Ugh.
all my jaw muscles. And she's like, what
Yeah.
does that hurt? And I'm like pounding on the chair, like, oh, because her hand's in my mouth, so I can't say anything. I'm like, oh, and she's like, oh yeah, that hurts, doesn't it? And she's still squeezing, and I'm like, what sadism you must have in your brain. And she's like laughing about it. She's like, oh yeah, that got you good, huh? I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
yes it did. I'm entrusted to your care, madam.
What in the world?
Yeah. So anyway, that's my teeth update.
All right, teeth update.
Teeth update.
The way this has become like a medical podcast.
I know. Wait, this is what happens when
so
you have
old.
a podcast made by two old people. They're just like it's just like, yeah, had problems with my back this week. Sometimes that back problem can be caused by constipation. Did you try Metamucil? Like that's going to be this podcast in just like 3 years.
Oh no, we can't let that happen.
We can't look. You can't stop the inevitable march of time.
Yes, we can.
What are we talking about this week, Roses?
We are talking about a new game that we both played that hopefully is out. I hope.
This is also why this episode is a day late, everybody.
Right.
We had to wait for the embargo.
That's okay. I'm just totally cool with waiting one single day. But we played, just as a little breath of fresh air, we played an adventure RPG. We played Cabernet. And I have many thoughts because boy did I fuck up.
It is a very indie, and we'll talk about this. What I mean by this, but it's a very indie, RPG, like story driven RPG. I think is fair to call an adventure RPG.
I think that's totally fair. Absolutely.
And it got us thinking about this idea of when do adventure games crossover with RPGs?
Right.
So
I think this game kind of gave us some good ideas on when it does cross over. Because the reason I'm so comfortable with calling it an adventure RPG is because it is big quest for glory energy. What is that? BQFG. Big quest for glory energy. So I listen. I very much enjoyed this game, which is why I'm angry at it, and it's all going to come out.
Well, here's what I think we should do.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should play some Clanky Smokerino and come back and talk about Cabernet, and then talk about adventure RPGs.
All right, incoming. Hey everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. I don't think did I introduce Save Your Game? Did I say that earlier?
You said you were the host and I was the host.
What
I don't
we're
know if
gonna
you
have
said
to
the name of
check.
the podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check to see if I'm just like, hey, everyone, I'm pushing up roses. I didn't even.
The name of this podcast is Save Your Game, if you
Yes,
didn't know.
just in case you didn't know.
Mhm.
And today, as mentioned, we are going to be talking about Cabernet. Matt, do
Mm.
you know who published and developed Cabernet?
No, I've been looking and looking and looking, and there's
This
no information. Why
cool.
are
We'll
they
just.
keeping it a secret from us?
I started typing in Cabernet and like wine, like how do you say Cabernet Sauvignon? How do you even say it? I don't know. I don't drink wine, guys.
Cabernet and Sauvignon. Isn't Sauvignon its own? I don't know anything about.
I don't know anything. Okay, Cabernet. Let
Because
us
I know like
look.
Sauvignon Blanc. What does Sauvignon mean? Let's
I have
let's
no
start there.
idea.
All right, everybody. We're gonna start here. What does Sauvignon mean? Sauvignon is I don't know, I can't find it. I can't find it without the word Blanc attached.
Listen, you look for that while I just confirm that this was developed by a company called Party for Introverts, which I should remember because I restarted this game a lot and saw the screen with that a lot. So, yes, developer Party for Introverts. Did you figure out what Sauvignon means?
It's just a variety of white wine grape, but I don't understand how a Cabernet can be Sauvignon.
Oh. I swear that's what came up when I
I know,
started.
no, it is. No, I see that too.
Yeah.
Hey,
Someone help us.
don't like message us about this because we don't care that much. But feel free to send an email and maybe we'll get around to reading
Yeah,
it.
that's true. That's true.
Okay, yeah. So, Party for Introverts.
Party
You
for
say
Introverts.
Party for Introverts developed this game?
Yes.
Wow.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I was just trying to be engaging. And
Wow.
Acupara Games is the publisher.
Yep.
It was released legitimately today. If you're listening to this on release day.
Oh my god, we're so exciting. We have the up and up
Mhm.
and the new stuff.
Hey,
I don't know where it's going with that.
did you get all the dresses?
No,
Yeah, there's one I couldn't find.
I didn't care to get all of them, but you know what? I should. We'll see. We'll see if
I
I
think
do another one.
there's a lot of this. I think literally I'm gonna wait until people start releasing guides because
Yeah,
I
I
don't know,
know.
because like I played it through all the way and I enjoyed it and I enjoyed my choices.
Mhm.
I regretted a few of them, but not many. And because I safe scummed a lot.
But
And
how did you save Scum if you were just playing? You were playing it on Steam, right?
yeah, I just walked all the way. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
But there are some things I'm curious about
Yeah.
that I don't know if I want to play this game like 7 times
Right.
to like see all the different paths, especially because I went back and started it again very
Mhm.
briefly, trying to do an evil playthrough or
Yeah.
a nihilistic playthrough,
Yeah.
and just so much is exactly the same
Yes,
that
it
I
is.
think I'm gonna need to wait for my memories of this game to dull a little bit before I do a second playthrough.
Yeah, and that actually prompts some of my critique with
Okay.
this game. Uh,
Do you want to start by telling everybody just what is this game? What's it
sure.
about? What is the general overview?
So, you are a vampire.
No,
Yes,
I'm
that's right.
not.
Not you, Matt. Well, you are a little bit. You're very pale.
That's true. Well, I'm inside a lot.
You are playing a female vampire who wakens from her coffin early. You were not supposed to wake up, but you woke up early. And through some interesting means, you get out of your coffin, you get out of this dungeon you were put in. And you go up the stairs and you see like this very regal party with this countess. And that is where you learn that you were turned, you are a vampire, you are now immortal, which kind of fucking sucks. That would be terrible. I'm dying at age 75. I don't know if I told you guys all that, but that is my plan because
I want to
anything
live
else seems
till
like torture.
I want to live to like 250 or
All
so.
right. You'll still be doing the podcast. Somehow somehow you have like found my ghost and I'm also still doing
It'll be
it.
95% about my medical issues and 5% about video games at that point.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, so
yeah,
you now have to live your life as a vampire while also kind of untangling this interesting story that's going alongside of you. And the thing I compare it to the most to, and this is why I liked the game, is it reminded me so heavily of Quest for Glory 4, which is Shadows of
right.
Darkness, which is also about vampires and Eastern European. That's where this takes place. Um, and so it's got a lot of the same ideas, a lot of the same folklore in it.
There's Domovoy, there's
Domovoy, yeah.
Rusalka, there's
Yes, that's what really nailed it in for me, is helping the Rizulka. That reminded me of Quest for Glory 4. This is also a game in which your choices matter. Much
uh-huh.
like if we look back at Quest for Glory, 4 or 5, your choices really matter and you get kind of a lot of them. Your choices matter here. And I know that
Right.
they matter because I fucked up my game so hard.
All right, let's get into the choices in a minute. I want to talk about the systems really quick because there's a lot of
Go ahead.
systems you're managing in this game. You start out by sort of like over your grave, your family's talking about your death, and through that you choose like your skills, your
Right. This
primary
is I
skills.
forgot. This is still an RPG.
hmm
Like you have
So
stats.
your stats are music and arts, literature and writing, science and logic, and history and politics. Those are 4 different stats that you have.
Yeah.
Um,
And let me just
and
say, I'm
yeah,
really happy that there's only 4 stats as opposed to like Quest for Glory. I'm like jumping, throwing.
yeah, and throwing that you level up by just throwing rocks over and over
Exactly.
and over at a tree um, for an hour.
Yeah.
Um, so and so this game you level up by passing skill checks, and your skill checks there's no random dice rolls, so you could claim this is more of a simulation game than an RPG because there's no randomization here.
Mhm.
It is all based on the stats that are right in front of you. And if you have, say, a 15 in literature, you know about Tolstoy and you
Right.
can quote Tolstoy to somebody
Right.
and then maybe they like you a little more or maybe you're a
Right.
little more convincing about an argument you're
Yeah.
making to them.
Yeah, I mean that is simulation, but it's giving those RPG vibes.
100%. And the
Yeah.
other thing is, as you level up, you gain vampire ranks.
Right.
Um, this is a little bit weird because your vampire ranks don't affect your vampire powers. You do have
Right.
4 vampire powers. You can turn invisible. You can turn into a vampire and bite people. You can um, turn into a bat and fly around, which I did nonstop. And
Same.
you can. It's almost like the running action of this game. Like you can run
Mhm.
in this game, but it's like when you're playing a Metroidvania and you can run, but really you're going to be jumping and double
I
dashing
mean,
your way
really,
through
you're
every
power
level.
walking. You're just power walking.
Yeah, yeah. This is the jumping and double jumping and air dashing
Yeah.
version is just being a bat all the time.
Yeah.
And like I have to go 5 feet, bat, fly 5
Bat.
feet, unbat.
Gotta go up the stairs, bat.
Bat, bat to my room, unbat, go in the door. Um, it was halfway through the game before I realized you could open your bedroom window and bat
Mhm.
out the window and bat
No
like down the.
way.
So that is something I'm going to talk to you about save scumming because that was a huge help. Um,
Yeah.
but so your vampire powers don't change. You just have the 4. The 4th one is you can mesmerize people.
Enchant, yeah.
Enchant people, you're right.
Mhm.
And then every time you level up, you can change your, literature, music, science, or history stats.
Right.
You get 5 points to spread out amongst them. You can also level up those stats by reading books, which are available to you through the game, and they take time. The way time
Right.
works in this game is you are awake from dusk till dawn. You have 3 chunks of time with which to perform major actions. So you can like go around and talk to people, and most of that doesn't require an
Right.
action.
Yeah, conversation doesn't really count as like a time-consuming action.
Right. What counts as a time-consuming action is either like a task
Mhm.
such as reading a book, or uh, something that's going to trigger a scene.
Yeah.
Um, and it'll
It's
tell you
actually
if you're,
it's
yeah.
actually a lot like, Colonel's Bequest, isn't it? Because time stands still until you trigger it. Although
Mhm.
I think there was one point where I was just like, I didn't for some reason, I didn't know what to do, and I was just farting around, and I swear I farted around so much that time turned. But in general, you have to make it turn.
Yeah.
You have to trigger it
Well,
yourself.
farting is an action in this game. If you fart, you pass by a hole. I'm lying. I'm
Yeah.
lying. I'm lying.
I'm sitting here giving you the stink eye that you can't even see.
um, but you have 3 chunks of time every night. You have, I think, dusk, midnight,
Twilight.
twilight, and
Mhm.
then um, in the 4th chunk of time, dawn, time moves on its own.
Right.
And you have a specific amount of time and a pretty generous amount of time to get back to your room and your coffin before you get caught in the sunlight. I
Yeah.
never got caught in the sunlight. Did you?
Never. Nope, but I almost did on my one of my latest. I was really
Really?
rushing. Yeah.
I wanted to do it and I kept forgetting, but I wanted to do it just once to see what
Mhm.
happens.
Mhm.
But most of the game overs in this game are not, there's not a lot of ceremony around them. You just get a
Right.
text pop up that says game over.
It's very Sierra, just like, you're dead."
Yeah. But it would have been, it would be cool. I'll have to check it out. It would be cool if like you watched Liza burn to death.
Yeah.
um, but some other things in this game, your actions will choose, like, uh, a lot of your actions will either give you humanity or nihilism, which will, affect how you can interact with certain characters.
Yeah.
Um, and you also have different relationship meters with all the different characters that you meet in the game, so you can improve or damage or deteriorate your
Yeah.
relationships
Which
with
I
them.
don't recommend deteriorating these.
There does not seem to be any benefit to deteriorating.
There's not. I
Um,
don't think there is. I think that's always not a good thing.
right, that I think is one of my criticisms in this game that we'll get into, is I don't think there is any benefit to playing the evil route. I think
Right.
this game is really pushing you to do the good route, and you don't it's not like, in some games it's like, oh, you get the better, not
Yeah.
obviously there's no combat in this game, but it's like you get the better weapons, you get the better whatever by being evil.
Mhm.
um and interesting story beats. In this game, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like you just
Yeah.
lock yourself out of things by being evil.
I do think that you do have to have a healthy amount of nihilism, though, to get
To
really
pass.
interesting conversations and,
Mhm.
like, just to spice things up a little bit, you know? So, when I was done with the game, I had my humanity was maxed and my nihilism was also very close. I was trying to
Really?
on my second playthrough, I was kinda going back and forth.
My nihilism was about half, and my
Mhm.
humanity was maxed.
Okay.
My humanity maxed early on, and my vampire. This was another thing that bummed me out. My vampire level maxed
Okay.
about halfway through my playthrough, and it felt like I didn't have much to strive for. Also,
Yeah.
um, so there's a money system in this game, and you get money by doing some tasks
Mhm.
or stealing from people, or you can harvest mushroom. With this broke for me. This game also has a lot of bugs.
It's a little buggy as of right now, yes.
But this game, you can also, this was bugged for me, so I couldn't do it. But one of the systems is you can harvest mushrooms and
What? I
sell them.
didn't know that.
If you get a high enough relationship with Maruzia, you can
Oh,
go into the
yeah.
forest and harvest mushrooms with her.
About her. Like
I'm
I
so
said,
yeah.
I fucked up.
And I guess so one of the biggest way you can get money is by gambling. There's a game that's very similar to blackjack,
Yeah.
um, that you can play, and it is very hard. It's the only thing that's random in this game, and
Yeah.
some people cheat.
Yep.
Um, but this is where safe scumming really worked for me. I
I can't believe
I found when I found that you could open the window,
Ah.
I would save the game at the mirror, That's how
Mhm.
you save the game. You get 3 save slots and an autosave, and
Yeah.
you can only save at the mirror in your room.
Yep.
So I'd save at the mirror, fly out the window, fly down to the pub, gamble. If I lost, I'd load the game. If I won, I'd fly back to my room and save it.
Damn.
And because you can double, you can all in at any point, so you can double. So it
Yeah.
didn't take that long for me to get 1,000 coins.
Oh my god. I did not do that. I mean, like, I realized that I could if I
Mhm.
wanted to. I just didn't really wanna go back and forth flying between the
It
things.
wasn't fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. I had a good amount of coins in my first game that, again, I fucked up and had to start over.
So that's basically, and then the only, I guess, other thing is that, yeah, sometimes you get, this is what I was referring to, sometimes you get dresses that
Right, that help your
increase your
stats.
skills,
Yeah, yeah.
stats, yeah. Um, so, how was your
Awes
playthrough?
Well, let me tell you what the fuck happened. So, for some reason, I didn't I fucked up releasing my first victim. So as a vampire, you do have to feed to survive. It's just kind of the nature of it. Thankfully, you don't have to kill people. Much like in the lore, you can release them, you can enchant them and kind of erase their memory. Well, I came upon my first victim, well, victim, but the first person I was going to feed on, and he was also, like, my love interest. There are love interests in this game. You can
Yeah,
get
you can have,
romantic with certain people.
I think you can have up to 3. There's 4. I think I might be missing some things because there's a lot of branches in this game, but I
Yeah.
think there's 4 romanceable characters, and you can romance 3 per playthrough. I
And
think.
listen, I romanced all of them except the one I really wanted to romance because the first time I tried, I killed him.
so,
I
so if you stay attached to somebody for just a second too long,
You'll drain them,
you
yeah.
drain them of blood and they die,
He
which the
died!
game warns you about. I'll say that.
I know it does. I messed up and I was so sad because I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. I liked this guy. I wanted to help this character. I liked this
Yeah,
character." And so I got really fucking far in that first playthrough, but I was missing that character. I
yeah,
had like romances with other people that I didn't like as much. So I restarted it after
yeah.
many hours. And it's tough. It is a slog to restart. And we'll get into that when we talk about maybe the saving system. Um
I I I killed one character
yeah.
because there is one quest that apparently, me and you talked about it. You can
Mhm.
succeed in lying to a character wants you to kill another character, and
Yeah.
you can succeed in lying in not killing them and then lying.
Yeah.
I whatever choices I made, I couldn't. My
Yeah.
lying was not working.
My lie
So
did work. So,
I had to kill one character.
yeah.
They were a very minor character. I
I
thought I
know.
wouldn't miss them at all
Yeah.
because they didn't seem to have their own quest. They didn't seem to have any
Nope, just a
personality.
minor character.
But and I think this was a I don't know if this is a bug or if this is a consequence on purpose. This character was how to do this without spoiling. This character was a merchant of sorts. This character
Yeah,
was a person you could buy things from.
yeah,
And I there is a secondary character that is supposed to take that person's role.
mhm.
But again, I don't know if this is a bug or a consequence. I could not buy things from this other character.
Oh, no.
So for the rest of the game,
Oh,
this entire
interesting.
section of the game where there's like a this one merchant that you can buy certain items from, I couldn't buy. And
I feel like that's a
so
bug.
I think it was a bug too. And so there was one quest, and this is a thing that's happened a lot through the game because I did save scum. I know you didn't.
Right.
But
I did sometimes, but for the most part, no.
save scumming occasionally breaks this game.
Yeah.
And so there were times that I would complete a quest, complete another quest in a way I didn't want to, and then save scum. And then for whatever reason, one of the like outcomes of my the quest I did complete would be there while like okay, for example, if I had two quests, Roses, one was to meet you in Chicago and get a pizza, and our
Oh,
relationship
pizza.
went up by 10 points. And then I was supposed to go rob a bank.
Uh-huh.
And so I did the quest with you.
Uh-huh.
Then I went to rob the bank and I fucked up and accidentally killed somebody. I was like, I don't want to kill somebody. So I loaded my game from the beginning of the day. I
Yeah.
go look in my inventory. I have not had the pizza with you yet, but the pizza's in my inventory. And but I still have the quest, eat pizza with Roses. And
Okay.
our relationship hasn't gone up.
Yeah.
So little buggy things like that would happen. So there was one
I
thing
had the
where
game totally freeze on me.
there was one thing where I had to buy a character something, and I think that's what advances his quest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, their quest.
Mm-hmm.
Their gender's a little ambiguous.
Okay.
If you know which character I'm talking about, this is the character voiced by Brian David Gilbert.
I don't know. I don't know which. Can you give me a hint? Where do you find him?
He becomes an either it or her.
Yes. Of course. Of course.
And
Okay.
that is,
okay.
and that's gonna sound like I'm being like saying it sounds like I'm being maybe transphobic or something, but no, literally,
No.
literally,
Yeah.
he becomes an object.
It's honestly amazing. I actually really enjoyed that story, and I enjoyed where that went. But yes, I know who you're talking about.
I think you're supposed to buy that character something, and that advances their quest.
Okay.
So you
couldn't.
I bought them that thing, then fucked up a different quest, reloaded back a couple of days. They were no longer using the item.
Mm.
But I had the thing in my quest marker, buy this person this thing, checked off.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess whatever, somehow I already did this.
Yeah.
So I moved on. Then I kept noticing this quest was not advancing.
Yeah.
And the dialogue options I had for this person about them using this item weren't coming up. So again, I think it just got bugged. And so
Yeah.
I never advanced in my quest with this person.
I did finish my quest with that person. It was great. But yeah,
And
I
it
had the
does
same
depend on
bugs.
that. It does depend on that item. Am I right?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, yeah, you can't finish anything if you don't get that person the item.
Also, I want to hear about your experience, but I have to complain about something real quick. I apologize.
Yeah.
Maruzia.
Mhm.
At one point, maybe this is just doing it. I did this out of the order that the game expected you. But before I met Maruzia, when I'd only seen her very briefly in the music
school,
I didn't know where she lived. I didn't have an invitation to her house. You can't go into people's houses in this game without an invitation because you're a vampire.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an invitation to her house. I didn't know where she lived. I couldn't find her. But because I had all this money, I bought her the violin like right away.
Okay.
And then I couldn't find her for the entire game.
Oh no.
Until suddenly I was launched down her quest line, and every interaction I had with her was pre-scripted.
Right.
So I never had the option, and I kept going to her house every day, actually multiple times every day, to try and give her violin and the book that she wanted. I had both things, and I never found her to give. And again, the only times I found her were in pre-scripted scenes. Right. So I carried her book and her violin the entire game and was unable to give them to her. I still got like one of the best endings for her, but one of them was locked off. Like at the end, it's like, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's either like send her to college or inspire her to become a music tutor. I couldn't inspire her to become a music tutor, probably because I never gave her the violin.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
But I tried nonstop, and she was never anywhere. That drove me crazy because I really liked Maruzia. She was one of my favorite characters, and it just anyway.
Yeah, I had an unfortunate thing happen.
All
All
right,
right,
let's hear
so
about
here's
your
what
playthrough a
happened.
little bit.
So in my first playthrough, I killed my love interest and I was sad about it. And even though I got really far, like I got to like chapter 5, I was just sad about it. So I restarted the entire game.
Yeah.
And I didn't kill him this time. Things were going pretty well until I realized I had to make a really difficult choice a bit later in the game. And there is a way to not kill people, but I fucked up and didn't have that choice. I forgot to do something. I forgot to visit someone, and I didn't have an item I needed. So yeah, did I kill Maruza? Yeah, I did. Okay, and her brother.
Stop looking at me like that. Yes, I killed
Yeah, I
Maruja.
killed
What do
her.
you want from me?
And her annoying fucking brother.
I did have the item.
You had what?
I did have the item that allowed me not to
I
kill.
had it in my first playthrough, so now I have 2 terrible playthroughs.
How did you know it existed? I mean, you knew the item existed because you had it in your first playthrough. How did you
Right.
know that it was... Oh, because you saw... Okay, this is something players should know. When you get to see all the options, even when you have not unlocked the story beats that allow you to use them.
Mm-hmm.
So there are sometimes you see grayed out options that you can't use
Yeah,
that are just
that's
confusing. You're just like, wait, what?
Yeah,
like
how? It's locked. Yeah,
because it's locked, and sometimes what's locked about it is something that you have no reference for.
right.
And that's a little weird. I almost wish those would have just said unavailable.
I agree. Unless it's there to like motivate you or inspire you to try to unlock that.
That's
thing.
a good point.
Yeah. But yeah, I have 2 terrible playthroughs.
But also with only, I'll say this, with only 3 save slots, this game does not really encourage you to try multiple things.
That is my issue. So I understand having a game in which you want players to kind of live with their choices, and that's the gameplay that you take. The problem is there's so many choices I want to see, and so what is the answer? To just replay the game? Because I'm not going to do that, because like I said, it can get a little redundant. Things aren't different enough to make me want to replay it, to do these choices. So while I understand like this is how it's meant to be played, there's got to be a better system for this, because I don't want to play the game again.
I agree with you. I think I would have loved to see all the writing in this game.
Yeah, me too.
I think this game was really well written.
Oh, I loved it. I had a ball. I had such a good time with this game because it was like if Quest for Glory wasn't hard as fuck. You get these characters and you've got that sense of like you are in a town and you stay in that town, you know, and you get an inn and that is where you sleep at night. There's so many things that are very similar to Quest for Glory. That was familiar to me, except I wasn't dying every 2 seconds like I was in Quest for Glory. So that was nice. And yeah, very character driven, and you can kind of choose who to romance. But even Quest for Glory had a ton of save. If you remember Quest for Glory 5, it's like unlimited, I think.
Yes. And I think this game could have done with save slots, or again, a little more ambiguity about your choices so you don't feel like you're missing out the whole time. Because it felt like it wanted to have it both ways, and I think it should have picked one. Because as it is, when I couldn't do something, it just felt a little disappointing. What do you have what other sort of interesting thing has happened in your playthrough?
Well, other than killing people I didn't want to kill, I was so again, I restarted so I could try to get this love interest.
Yeah.
And I still failed. At it.
Really?
I did, yeah. And I don't know if that's because I did romance the other 3 characters first, and I didn't quite know what I was doing, or if I don't know. There were some things I was kind of tripping on, and like I said, I didn't I didn't want to restart because things are too similar. Like choices
Yeah.
can be too similar. So just to have like my love interest be like, yeah, let's go make out. That's not enough for me
Yeah.
to replay the game. But like I said, we've had some different experiences, mainly me killing everybody. But also, I spared a human that you didn't. And I thought that was really interesting.
That is interesting. And again, I'm still not sure how you did it. Like, this is because, again, it
It's
seems
got to be
this
dialogue
this
choices. It
game
has
is
to be.
pretty transparent. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. But this game is pretty transparent, like I said. And again, maybe even a little bit to its detriment,
Mm-hmm.
in letting you know why you didn't get a certain option.
Yeah.
Um, but I had the option to lie and say I
Mm-hmm.
killed the guy when I didn't, and it failed. And you're
Yes.
succeeded.
Well,
Um,
interestingly, here's something interesting. It failed on my second playthrough.
and you don't know why.
And I don't know why. I don't remember what I
It
did
might
differently.
be
It's got to be dialogue.
My guess is that it has to do with how high your relationship is with the character, which
But how
again,
do you get a high
usually
relationship with that character though?
agreed. Yeah, it
Yeah.
must be dialogue choices that happen earlier. It must be just like it must be the difference between a 60 and a 65. Like it must be
Yeah.
a really narrow window.
Yeah.
And um uh the other strange thing about it, like we were saying, is that the difference there are usually it'll tell you if your relationship has an effect
Right.
on a choice. It'll say you can only
Yes.
say this to a person if you have relationship 60 or higher or
Yeah.
80 or higher, or
Yeah.
sometimes
Like you can
100.
feed on people with a relationship of 80 or higher.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have to ask them to a
Like a
secluded
private
location.
area. Yeah.
Which always sounds sexy.
Ah.
And then later
And
when
then
you
it's not.
but later it is.
Yeah.
And that takes an action point.
Yeah, that's true. It does take an action point. That is true.
Kissing doesn't,
No,
but
kissing doesn't.
but
I had gotten
asking somebody to a private place for romance, not feeding,
not for, yeah, yeah. You would think you
takes an
could do
action.
both. It sounds kind of hot, but no, you can't mix the two. But
Oh,
yeah,
what if you came back from the sex in the game? Because again, we're talking about sex. The game has sex. It's just off camera.
it's off camera. Yeah.
What if you had sex in the game and you came back and your blood meter was all the way up and you were like, wait, what the fuck? Because okay, so that's another thing. There is a blood meter in this game. Again, you have to fill your blood. I never completely ran out of blood. I don't know if you die when you do that.
You do die. Yes, you die.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Is there a cutscene or is it just a text box?
I don't remember because this was in
Okay.
my first playthrough
Mhm.
before I tried to, I don't know, wonky myself out of all the things I did.
Yeah. So uh the other thing is you can, and this it's really easy to do this. You can overfeed on blood.
Yes, you can get like intoxicated.
Yeah. And
Which I did use to my advantage because if you are intoxicated, all of your stats go up.
it said there's a consequence to it. I don't know what that consequence was.
I do. I know what it
Okay.
is. So immediately after you're sober, you start with half
Oh,
thing of
that's
blood.
it?
That's it. Yeah.
I had 1,000 gold. I should have overdosed on blood every day.
You should have. Yeah. Your
'Cause
stats could have been like off the charts.
they said something about like going feral if you did it too
Oh.
much. So I don't know if that's a mechanic in the game or if that's just like a narrative
Okay.
thread.
I mean, I only did it a few times. So I
Mhm.
don't maybe you do go fair like if you do it all the time, maybe?
So what did you think about what's your opinion on this game overall?
Okay. I really did like this game, and
Same.
had I not, I wouldn't have started it over 3 times.
Yeah.
In my second playthrough, I did go ahead and beat that game. I beat that playthrough just to have an ending, just to see. And honestly, the ending that I got, very
Mhm.
underwhelming. I didn't like my ending. I
The
do wonder
ending
if
is
there's a better ending.
the ending is long and there's a lot going on.
Okay.
The ending sets you on a path. I'm just saying this for the audience's sake. I think you've probably seen at least a lot of it.
Yeah.
the ending sets you on a path that you're on for a long time.
Yeah.
Once it's like one of those, once you get going, you're pretty locked in for about an hour.
Yeah.
Um, and that was a little frustrating because I'd really gotten to like the loop of this game.
Yes, I did too. Very much so.
Um, and so when I was suddenly locked into this end game, it was almost like I wanted to quickly get to an ending so maybe
Yeah.
I could play again. But one
Yes.
of the things about it having such a long intro and such a long ending is it really dampened my desire to replay.
Yes. I had a lot of my desires to replay was maybe even more dampened than yours because I kept trying to achieve something that I couldn't seem to achieve. Even in my second playthrough, I got my
Mhm.
love interest to be I finally was like, "Hey, are you single? And if you are, let me know when." And that's as far as I could get it. I could not I like planted the seed, but couldn't get it any further. And I
And you made
felt
it all the way to the end, and
mhm,
he never, because
nope, never.
I got that, and then after, and I was also romancing his wife.
I was too. I was too.
um,
Yeah, let's be
and I
honest.
got them both to that place,
Yeah.
and then about a few days, maybe a week in the calendar before the end of the game. There is a definite end on the calendar to this game. You cannot go past a certain date.
Mhm.
Um, which is also a little frustrating.
That is
Um,
frustrating, yeah.
I just kind of don't like when games do that.
Yeah.
But th- on the same day, they both sent me letters, and I went to one, and I was like, "Ooh, here we go." And I went to one, and my relationship with her advanced, and then an option opened up with her, and I was like, "I'm
Mm.
not going to click that yet." And then I went upstairs to her husband, and her husband was like, we divorced yesterday, and she left to go to her mother. So I was like,
I just saw her.
I just saw her and kissed her.
Yeah.
And she just offered to have sex with me. You're lying. But
Maybe
anyway,
that's where I went wrong because in my playthrough, my quest with the guy,
mhm.
it's not ended and it won't end. It says check mail. And there's not and then the mail never comes. Same with Roman, who is
Yeah.
another character that has a quest. It says check mail. The mail never got there. I never got
You
even a
went down to the
letter.
mailbox and clicked on the mail
Yeah.
and then checked your inventory for the mail.
Yeah. So I have no
So it's a
letters.
bug. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no letters, and I didn't even get or read a letter from the wife, but I did end up like we had something. Like
Mhm.
there was I think an intimate moment. There's definitely a kiss. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. This
I
guy
got
doesn't like
letters.
me.
I got letters from just about everybody, um, because that's generally when you get to the end of a character quest, and almost every character in the game has a quest. Um, there's only like 2 characters I didn't finish the quests for. One was the criminal,
Yeah, same, same.
and the other was the guy we were talking about who
Yeah.
turns
I
into.
did finish that and I was really happy with that quest. But you know what? Now that you're saying, maybe I should recheck my inventory. Maybe it did go straight in and I just didn't notice, but I I'll have to
Yes, I
check
had
and
to
see.
scroll down so much
I just need to
because I was
scroll.
because I had all those mushrooms that wouldn't go away, and
Oh my gosh.
I had so many vials of blood because I was rich, and
Because
I
you're rich.
just
Yeah.
bought so many extra vials of blood.
That's funny. I
But
mean,
yeah,
that being said, I liked this game enough to
yeah,
start it 3 times. The problem again, the problem I'm having is I don't want to start this again.
yeah,
And it's that's unfortunate because I do want to see these other options like so
yeah.
badly. And so I feel there's got to be a better system, even if it was like start on chapter 1, start on chapter 2, not these 3 save slots which who knows what I'm going to end up using them for. You know, I try to use them smartly, but there's only 3 and that's tough.
And not
So,
only is there only 3 save slots, it's not like you can have different characters.
right.
Some games like this, it'll be like, um, you have 3 save slots, but you have also 3 games that you can play concurrently. No, it's you just have the one.
Exactly. So I do feel like there needs to be a better system for this,
Yeah.
or you just make the game so different in the choices, a little less
Mhm.
repetitive, that it encourages the player. Because I was angry at the
Agreed.
end. I'm like, I didn't really I think I got a bad ending. We'll talk about it off screen so we're not spoiling since this game just came out. But I wasn't happy with mine.
And again, this game has a lot of bugs. If you play it, maybe there's a day one patch that's going to fix a lot of this stuff. But if you play it, I think it is worth playing through the bugs. Just be
Yeah.
patient. You might end up having to, especially if you save scum like I did.
Yeah.
Um, you might end up having to go back like several days.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, if I reload from this morning, the morning, like again, this morning meaning the in-game days, not
Right.
real life days.
Right.
If I reload from this morning, and by morning I guess I mean dusk. If I reload, Jesus, this is so hard to talk about. If I reload from the dusk of this in-game day, this quest is broken. But if I reload my save that was 2 in-game days ago and then redo all my choices, the quest doesn't break.
Right.
So that's a thing that I ended up having to just like click through dialogue I'd seen already really, really
Mhm.
fast
Yeah,
to
really
like
fast. Yep.
to just be like, okay, if I try to reload this more recent save, it's broken, and if I reload this older save, I'll just redo all this stuff.
Yeah.
So just employ a little bit of patience. Hopefully they'll patch a lot of these bugs.
Yeah.
But it's just such an indie game, right? Like this game is
Yeah.
very clearly um, indie as hell, and
Yeah.
with that, sometimes you have to digest a little bit of jankiness, and
Yeah.
this game has a little bit of jankiness.
I still really
Um,
enjoyed it though.
Me
I
too. I really
like
like it. I
Yeah, I like these kind of familiar, cozy games. Like I said, there's so many things that I liked about it because they were the things I liked in an action RPG. I love going back to an inn or to my room, and that's like my little haven. And I like, when characters move around the world, and I like seeing how things change. And I like the relationship meter. So it hit a lot of things that I really enjoyed. And like I said, I started it 3 times. So there you go.
Me too. I like the writing. I liked the atmosphere. I liked making the
Yeah.
choices. I enjoyed most of the characters. I enjoyed getting
Yeah.
to know them, and I get these sort of, and we'll start talking about this now. This sort of narrative RPG. I really like narrative RPGs where I get like find it so satisfying to have the right amount of stats to achieve a specific outcome.
Yes, I do too.
I find that so satisfying, and to
Yeah.
jump from Citizen Sleeper to this, I found again just like it really really satisfying to just have some minor goal
Yeah.
and to just have the right dice or the right stat or the right whatever to just achieve it and see what the outcome is.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
definitely.
what do you think tips an RPG into uh like dual qualifying as an adventure
Mhm.
game?
So, I think we can talk about mechanics a little
Mhm.
bit, but as I thought about this, because we had a little bit of an interesting conversation where I recommended Chrono Trigger to you, and
Mhm.
then I said how I felt when I was playing Final Fantasy VIII. I felt that that was almost an adventure RPG. It felt like I was doing quests. It felt like I was on this journey. So I
Mhm.
wonder if it gets tipped into it when there's like a certain itch that gets scratched. For example, the relationship meters is a big
Yeah.
one. I don't see that in adventure games necessarily, but I do
Yeah.
see them in RPG. So I think it starts to tip when you have like friendship meters, relationship meters, um, and certainly when you are having stats that affect your dialogue options. I think adventure games and their dialogue trees, I think they are a little bit more traditional. Not that they can't be detailed, because look at the dialogue trees for Grim Fandango. They're hilarious and amazing and clever.
Mhm.
But
But
they
they're not
are
conditional in the same
Correct.
way.
Correct. I think, choices matter in adventure games, but choices really matter in RPG games. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that is how I think that's what makes it feel like you're playing the role. That's like the R,
Mm-hmm.
right? In RPG. You are playing a role. You're not playing kind of a flat character.
Mm-hmm.
I think adventure
A
games
flat
sometimes
Stanley, if you will.
yeah. I think like
What about a flat
flat
Stanley
st-
RPG? Where you get to be flat Stanley.
yeah. I'm down with it. I am absolutely down with it. Actually,
Somebody make us a
it'd be
flat Stanley
cute.
RPG. Grab RPG Maker. There was actually, sorry,
That's
I'm
cute.
hijacking for a second,
Go
but
ahead.
there was like an RPG Steam Fest or whatever last like I think last week, maybe 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and RPG Maker VX8 was free.
Oh, wow.
They just gave it away for free. It's normally
That's nice.
$70. It's back up to $70, but it was free, and I got it. And I have
Nice.
RPG Maker VX8 Ace
Oh yeah, make us
for
a
free.
game.
I'll make a flat Stanley game.
No, make an original game.
I'm gonna make a flat Stanley. I'm gonna violate copyright law and make a flat Stanley game.
Great, wonderful. Then we get sued, and our
Mm.
podcast like goes down the shitter.
So, all right. So go ahead about you were talking. You said something about flat Stanley.
No, I did. Oh my god, he's hijacked the whole thing. No, I was saying that like I want to feel like the R in RPG, and so when games, I don't know, adventure games are a little more linear. I think adventure
Mhm.
games, they make you feel like you have a lot of choices, but you commonly don't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can die. That sucks. Sometimes there's multiple endings. That's kind of cool. But in
Yeah.
an RPG, you're essentially playing this role where your choices to these characters matter. These characters, they can be your friend, they can be your
Mhm.
enemy, they can be your romantic interest. An adventure game, just strictly adventure game, is really more storytelling and linear than
Yeah.
that. It doesn't have that many choices. I think when you get to a certain amount of choices, that's what tips it into an RPG.
Yeah. I think that combat is a very important element of this. I It's not that I don't think it's possible to have combat in an adventure game.
Sure.
And but I do think that really pushes things, right? Like when I play
Yeah.
a Final Fantasy game, sometimes I like the story. And then, granted, I haven't played. I've played Final Fantasies 1 through. I'm in the middle of 8 right now,
Yeah.
and I haven't adored any of the stories yet.
That's fair.
I liked the story of 6. 7 was fine. 5 was
Still,
pretty interesting because 5 was, I think, the first one that felt like a real story.
I think you
Rather
should play Chrono Trigger. You might appreciate the less unhinged
Yeah.
story that it's Final Fantasies, man. They go off the rails.
But largely, I think in Final Fantasies, I feel like it is a power fantasy where my characters are getting stronger, getting better weapons, fighting bigger
Yeah.
enemies. I'm going around collecting the rare and secret summons, and
Yeah.
to me, like the combat and the advancement are really the important things.
Yeah. I think and I think
Rather
that
than the
kind of
story
yeah,
or
and I
the
think that
the exploration.
holds hands kind of like what I was saying, because you are advancing relationships too. Like when you
Right.
are like advancing things in a game, I think that does differentiate it from a strictly adventure game.
Yeah. And so when it feels more about the advancement or the combat, right? I stop feeling as many adventure vibes. But when combat's not the focus and the narrative is really strong,
Mhm.
um there's a lot of times I start to feel very adventure-y about it. So some
Yes.
examples I want to give. And I think these simulation games are really like they really walk the edge
Yeah, they
between
do.
like they seem to be like the daywalkers here where they feel a little bit like adventure games, they feel a little bit like RPGs. You feel that way about Stardew Valley, for example.
Right.
um but so both the Citizen Sleepers I feel this way about. I get the same feeling from a Citizen Sleeper that I do from an adventure game, but it definitely has RPG feels.
Mhm.
You're advancing. You are a lot of your choices are based on your stats and your roles. You are making choices that affect the narrative, and affect how different characters are going to treat you throughout the game.
Mhm.
Again, very very um uh uh RPG and
Yeah.
very sim. Um, but there's something about the depth of the story there that I really that of makes me feel the way I do when I play an adventure game.
Yeah.
Um, Another good example of this, these are some games that I have not spent much time with.
Mhm.
Um, but I played a little bit of both of these in preparation for this episode. Again, very little time. So
Okay.
these are games that I want to continue playing, but I've only just scraped the surface.
Okay.
Heaven's Vault by Inkle is
Okay.
another example of this. Um, and I was a teenage exocolonist.
Yeah, you mentioned that, I think on we were talking about that at some point.
Um, and it's games where like you're saying, your relationships with people matter a lot.
Yeah.
The way the story advances, it matters a lot. The exploration of the world matters a lot, and it it doesn't rely just on power fantasies
Right.
and combat.
Right.
I also know when we were talking about Disco Elysium and the thaumaturge, Francisco Gonzalez mentioned Planescape Torment.
Yes, yes, that is a big that one has a lot of intersection of, like,
Mhm.
adventure fans and RPG fans.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, that's a game I want to play because I know that that does have combat and it looks a lot like Baldur's Gate. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that mm, a lot of that game, the gameplay is based on choices and puzzles
Mhm.
and creative solutions to problems
Right.
rather than simply fighting everything.
Right. And I do feel like another thing these games have is, like, an intersection of at least to me, maybe not to you,
Mm-hmm.
but how it makes you feel in that,
Mm-hmm.
am I on a journey right now? Am I on,
Right.
like, a grand adventure? And I think that's why I get similar feelings of, like, when I'm playing I mean, they're vastly different games, right? But, like, Grim Fandango versus Final Fantasy, I do feel like I'm traveling, I'm on a journey, I'm on an adventure, and I get those, like, the itches are scratched, as opposed to, like, I load up Doom, right? I'm not on a journey here. I am
Also,
killing
you
things.
you really like Itch Simulator VR 4000, right? That's another big one you like for scratching itches. Where you look down at your VR body and it's covered in sores and boils, and you
Yeah, and
use
I need
the
to, like,
VR
itch
controllers
them.
to scratch them,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they disappear. Your skin like scrapes off of your VR
So
body. It's really
satisfying.
sad.
I mean, I look insane and terrible, like, I'm doing it, but the itches are scratched.
um, but you make a good point. But I do take argument a little bit with just the idea of being on a grand adventure, making it feel like an adventure game, because I feel like I'm on a grand adventure when I'm playing Skyrim, but no part of me feels like I'm playing an adventure game. With same
It
with
is to me. I feel like both itches are scratched playing, like, one of the Skyrim games. One of the, what are they fucking called? Why can't I think about it? The
Elder
Morrowind?
Scrolls games.
Elder Scrolls. There we go.
Mhm.
Morrowind's another one of them. That
Fallout or Fallout, like I feel like I'm on an adventure, but I don't feel like I'm playing an adventure game.
I think I just operate on feelings and vibes.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's what's happening here.
Like, for example, I would recommend Disco Elysium to any adventure game fan.
Yeah,
I
even
would
though
say,
that's rough because it's
mhm,
got the dice system.
right.
Yeah.
But I would also recommend Citizen Sleeper to
Yeah.
any adventure game fan. I'd recommend Cabernet to any fan of indie adventure games.
Yeah.
From the little bit of I've played, I would recommend Heaven's Vault to any adventure game fan. I would recommend I Was a Teenage Exocologist to some adventure game fans, people who
Yeah.
like visual novels, for example. But I would not recommend, just based if all I knew about a person, they liked adventure games, I would not recommend Morrowind. I would
Okay,
not
that's fair. No, that's fair.
recommend. I would not recommend my favorite game of all time, Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
I would not recommend Baldur's Gate, right?
Yeah.
Because they just have such a different feel to them, even though it feels like I'm on an adventure.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And I don't feel that way about every single game.
Mm-hmm.
There I don't even know why I feel that way with the Final
Yeah.
Fantasy games. And maybe that's because the Final Fantasy games, they do have an emphasis on quests and like fetch quests and kind of those adventure mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, something that a Final Fantasy might lack in terms of like statistics is that those games don't really have relationship meters. There's so many characters in Final Fantasy. Can you even imagine like trying to watch all these characters? It'd be insane.
Trying to manage your relationships with Biggs and Wedge and
Yeah.
Sid.
Like, oh my god. And then all the minor characters. No, fuck it.
So, and again, like I love these games, right? Like I've played I was playing Skyrim before I got back into video games, right? Like when I was in my non-video game era, I was still, when I would power up my laptop, I would fucking play more. I'd play either Morrowind or Skyrim. Like I played the Elder Scrolls games. I probably put, who knows, 1,000 hours over 10 years into Skyrim, right? And same with Stardew Valley. But I love these games. I don't want to take anything away from them. They just don't feel like adventure games to me.
I want to like kind of go ahead.
I wanted to touch on, I want to hear what you want to say. I want to touch on the fetch quest idea, but what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I don't necessarily think of Stardew Valley as an adventure game.
Okay.
What it does do, though, is, again, it scratches the itch.
Oh, okay.
So if you like adventure games, you might also like Stardew. So many of these games hold hands, and they have like at least similar vibes. But would I say Stardew's an adventure game? No, probably not. But is there an adventure-y aspect of it that drew me in? Yes, definitely.
You mentioned fetch quests being very adventure-y, and I understand what you mean, but there's a thing that separates fetch quests to me. Mm-hmm. Fetch quests outside of adventure games to fetch quests in adventure games. And this is something that I've always felt. This is something that I always like. It would annoy me when I played Skyrim, for example, and there's legitimate fetch quest. Go to this town, get this thing from this person. They tell you to go back to this other guy, give them this thing. He tells you to go to this place and give it to them, right? That to me is just a legitimate fetch quest. Travel here, do this thing that I said. Yeah. To me, that always felt like an inferior type of quest because I'd spent so much time with adventure games. I was like, this is a lazy way to do this. I know what a good way to do this is because I played adventure games as a kid. The good way to do this is come up with a creative thing. Say you have to go somewhere. You need to give this item to a guy who can do this thing with it. Yeah. And then don't tell you who that is. So as you explore the world, you can be like, oh my God, this is the guy. who can do this thing for me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Leave you some creativity, and even if there's only one solution, leave you some room for creative problem solving. That's what
Right,
an adventure game does, right? It gives you the problem, not the solution. Where
right.
in a true fetch quest, it gives you the problem and the solution. All you have to do is go from one place to the other. And that
Sure.
is a thing that bothers me. And so that is a thing that's always bothered me in Skyrim,
Yeah,
Morrowind, a lot of these RPG quests. But sometimes in these games, they do put in a real adventure game like kind of puzzle. Disco
right.
Elysium is great for that.
Yeah, it
Telling
is.
you what you need, what you need to do, but not telling you exactly how to do it. So
Right.
you might be traveling all the way over the map, running back and forth between two characters, but
Yes.
you are making the choice to do it because you know these people have these skills, not because they're just saying, "Hey, go back to him." Okay, go back to her. Okay, go back
Yeah,
to him. They're just saying, they're sort of hinting at it, and you're deciding who you need to go to. Uh,
yeah.
it might be a subtle distinction, but to
I
me,
think
it
it's a good
matters a lot.
distinction, though. Like,
Hmm.
mechanically, I think that is a good distinction and a good way to, differentiate kind of the styles of these
Yeah,
games. But yeah, I still kinda stand by, like, the vibe aspect
yeah,
of it,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why I like these genres, you know? It is a different I can compare these genres and it makes sense as opposed to comparing, like, an FPS to, like,
Right.
Monkey you know what I mean? Like, some
Yeah.
genres just kinda work together really well. Um, and yeah, that being said, do you think Cabernet is an adventure RPG based on what we just said?
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay,
I
cool.
do. And I think um, it doesn't do a great job at making you creatively think through quests.
Correct. I would
Um,
say it's a pretty easy game. A little it's breezy to get through, you know?
right. But it does have a very strong narrative is clearly the focus.
Yes.
I wish it had a bigger map to explore. That was another thing that I found disappointing with it, that the town is pretty small.
It is small, yeah.
And some areas of the town you can't do anything in.
Yeah.
Or you can do very little in. Um, so again, there's not that many characters, and some of the characters you can't do much with.
Yeah.
Um, there's one location in the town, and this ends up being like a pretty interesting um, uh, poetic point in the epilogue. But
Mhm.
there's one building you can't even go in, in the town.
Yeah. Yep, that's that's true.
Um,
Yeah.
but but because it's so narrative heavy, and because um, there's no combat, and the progression seems less important than the uh not necessarily physical exploration, but narrative exploration.
Mhm.
I do feel like this is an adventure game. How about you?
I agree. Yep. I definitely agree with all those points, and even though I think the game could use some polish, especially in regards to obviously the bugs, I think those will be patched, if I'm honest, though. I think they'll be
Hmm.
fine. But in regards to the saving and maybe some of and like you said, you thought you did something out of order, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of affected gameplay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it just didn't give me. I couldn't. Marussia wasn't anywhere.
Maruja, why?
Why? I want to give you a violin and a book.
Take this book.
Take this book. Take this violin.
Stop being
Stop.
a weird dude. Oh, we play a woman in the thing, but still, if you were a dude, that'd be weird. Hey, you
Yeah, if I'm
lady,
like
read this book.
chasing a lady around with a violin and a book, they're gifts.
They're
Let me in your
gifts.
house.
You're lucky to have them.
Let me in your house. Um,
But yeah, that all being said, with some more polish, I think it could be even greater. But I really liked it. It was a fun adventure, and I'll play it again in a year, maybe when I have forgotten kind of everything.
Same. I'm curious to see if there will be DLC. I have no
That'd
idea.
be
I don't
nice.
wanna. I don't wanna. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, and I don't want to make the developers think that I'm saying that
Yeah.
but that it would be a disappointment if there wasn't. But I think I could see room for
Yeah.
DLC.
Me too.
Um,
Me too.
but I'd still be happy with this if there never was. I would still think that I had a good time with this game.
Yeah.
So I think this is a subject that might be worth revisiting in a couple dozen episodes when we've had
Next week.
when we've had time to play things like Planescape Torment, I Was a Teenage Extra Colonist,
Yeah.
Heaven's
Maybe if you
Fall.
wanted to try Chrono Trigger to see what you
Well,
think.
I think that's a good idea. I think
Yeah.
maybe in a dozen episodes or so, we should do an episode on a legitimate RPG like Chrono Trigger,
Yeah.
and revisit this discussion and talk about and by then maybe both of us will have completed some of these other adventure RPG games, and we can talk more authoritatively about them. Another one
Yeah.
just that just popped in my head is that game Vampire by
Oh,
Don't
yeah, yeah,
Nod.
yeah. Yep.
I think there is a lot of combat in that game, but I know it is choices. It's like a choices matter game, and it's very story narrative heavy. And I know people really love that game more for its story than its gameplay.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's another one that I'm really interested in at some point, diving into and seeing what sort of, what secrets it holds.
Wow, it's very mysterious.
So are there any other games that fall in this category that you want to mention before we dip?
Gosh, I can't think of any offhand, and I'm sure I'll think of a ton when
as
I
soon as we
stop
wrap
recording.
up.
Yeah.
Again, we'll have to revisit this topic
Yeah,
at
we
some
will.
point because there's a lot to talk about here. Do you want to rate a couple adventure games before we go?
Let's rate a couple adventure games.
Before we skip to this final segment, we are part of the Adventure Game Hotspot Network. You can go to adventuregamehotspot.com, check out reviews, check out other podcasts, check out video series. You can find us at Instagram, Save Your Game Podcast.
Yep, Save Your Game Podcast.
Fuck! I'm so bad at remembering that. You can email us at madamroses@gmail.com. Well, we'll get to another Q&A episode eventually. It'll come.
Yeah, it'll happen.
And what else do you want to tell the people?
I can't have tomatoes. So, Swanks?
Yeah, let's do Plucky Druggerino and
What? I can't have tomatoes. It's the truth.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Save Your Game. I am Matt Allcamp. With me, the tomato intolerant, Pushing Up Roses. How's it going?
I'm sad about the tomatoes, but
I got to stop rubbing it in then, huh?
yeah, we move forward.
I really got to stop rubbing these tomatoes into you. It's causing these horrible allergic
Why
reactions.
do you keep smearing salsa on me?
I thought it would be funny.
Not everything is a joke, Matt.
All right, you just need to spend some time in Itch Simulator VR.
Itch Simulator, yeah.
VR 4000.
My favorite game.
Itch Simulator VR 4000, was that it? All right. We are... this is a segment called Ranking Every Adventure Game, where we have a list of every adventure game ever released, from all the way back in 1976 up to the present day. There's well over 3,000, and I have them all numbered here. We pull random numbers out and we rank the games whether we've played them or not. Currently, we have 83 games on our list.
Yeah, we
We've
didn't say we were
probably
fair.
we've probably played about 20 of them.
I know.
So, we're allowed to skip one per episode, and we are going to do, I think, 3 today. So,
Yes.
I want you to give me a number between 1 and 10, but don't say either 7 or 8.
Okay, 4.
Okay. Oh, I haven't played any of these in the.
Welp.
Okay, so our first one is number 1573 by Igor Krutov in 2015. It's called Through Abandoned, the Underground City.
Ooh, okay. Through Abandoned, the Underground City.
So it looks like
Okay.
a hand drawn.
Yes.
It looks like
Very
a hand
2D.
drawn 2D first person puzzle game.
Well, it looks cute.
And it looks pretty cute. Yeah,
But
it looks
listen,
kind of.
it's
Mhm.
clearly first person.
Mhm.
So you know how I get. You know,
Yeah, true.
it kind of like reminds me a little bit of Myst, but like 2D and kind of cute.
Or kind of like, what was that game that I played last year that I loved so much? The Forgotten City, The Abandoned Planet.
Yeah.
The Abandoned Planet, or like those games I like, Isoland. It looks a little bit like the Isoland games. It looks like it would
Mhm.
do really well on a phone.
This gives me pretty good vibes.
And it here's the thing about it that I just discovered. It's very short.
Okay. Yeah, I
It is
see that. I
about
see that it's very
15
short.
minutes long. You can get it on Steam, but I assume that this is also for like available on phones because it just looks like a phone game, right?
It does. And if it is that short, it does have very positive reviews. So people did like it. They said it's a
And it's
very
also a
fun
buck.
game. Yeah. So I would be middling.
I don't know Igor Krutov, but it
I
looks
don't
like he's
either.
done a bunch of these. He's done Through Abandoned the Forest,
That's cute.
Through Abandoned the Refuge. And they all look kind of they have this like they have this grounded but futuristic look to them.
Yeah.
They look like they take place in an abandoned world, like a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
And I kind of, and they also have another thing that you might be able to say about them. They have like a Cube Escape feel.
Yes, they do. I was gonna say it does kind of give me that vibe.
I think these look kind of dope.
I do too. I like it. I do
think
like
I
it.
would. I think I kind of want to play these.
Okay.
We say yeah.
Where would you like to put it, though?
Good point.
I mean, considering you said we do have a little bit of a like parameter when we say, "Oh, I do want to play that," that kind of ticks it up a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Where is Midnight Girl?
24.
Okay, I think
Right,
it does.
2 below Orion Burger.
I think it
You're
should
thinking
go
somewhere around there?
below Orion Burger, right?
Yeah, because that game has captivated, even though you said it wasn't very good, and I think
Yeah.
it's not going to be very good, it captivated us for like our
Oh, yeah.
entire lives.
Yeah, it did. It truly, truly did.
I
I kind of want to put this in like the 40 to 50 range.
Okay. So like maybe just that you're talking about right above the mediocre block.
Yeah.
So like, okay, the last game we put near there is at 39 we put Pine Hearts. Or sorry, 38 we put Pine Hearts, which
Okay.
was one of those playground games. Like a short hike or whatever.
Right. I think it should go around there.
And the two Ben Jordan games are right above that.
Okay, can we put it? I would put it below Pine Hearts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Cool.
And like this is another rule that we haven't utilized too much, but we do have a standing rule where if we play these, the only way we are allowed to move these games is if we play them. So
Yes.
if we play
Yes.
Throw a Band in the Underground
Then
City
we can move it.
and decide this game fucking rules,
Yeah.
maybe we can move it.
All right.
All right, next one. I've never heard of this game.
Oh dear.
It's by Herculean Effort. It is from 2006. It looks fucking insane. It's called Super Jazz Man.
Okay.
It is not on Steam.
What?
It was an Adventure Game Studios game. And
oh, number one, hands down, Jazzman. Come on now.
You know, it has like one of these. It's pixel art, point and click. It's got a limited palette, which I really like.
I do too. I like how this looks.
And it's like, it seems like a superhero who plays jazz.
It's got like a point and clicks, like a Sierra point and click vibe to it. Almost like a little Space Quest, even more cartoony than Space Quest, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. So that being said, if I had seen this, I would want to play it.
Yes, but let me tell you how the trailer starts.
Uh-oh.
God.
Oh no.
In a world where rap rules the streets.
Oh God.
Where the winter holiday known as Cripness.
Oh dear.
One superhero must save his kitten. He kicks, flies, punches, plays, talks, and kicks. It says kicks twice. In the most daring, most musical rescue in an adventure game yet. Stevie Jack Marcel is a busboy by night, super jazz man by day. Now, there's something a little crypto racist about this.
Yeah, no. I totally get that. Totally get that. We haven't played it, so we don't quite know.
It.
Yeah.
Okay, based on the trailer, the hero is white, and all the people he fights are black.
Oh God.
Again.
Okay, I have an idea.
Okay.
Well, you're getting the Jim Walls treatment then. Where's Blue Force?
Oh, good. Yeah, because it might be a good game, but we might not agree with it.
Yeah.
Well, not Blue Force, but
not Blue Force. Yeah, that's a bad game.
It might end up being a good game, but we probably do not agree with this game.
It's got to go there. It has to.
And I'm not accusing. I just want to be clear. I'm not accusing Herculean Effort of being racist in any way.
Correct. And also, this is 2006. I don't know.
Right. When I say crypto racist, I mean crypto racist, right? Like, this person might not even be aware that there are some racial overtones to what this game might be saying, and who knows? And maybe some of those disappear in nuance as you play the game. But this trailer is giving me some real bad feelings. Sure. So I think. I say put it above Blue Force, which we know is racist.
I put it above Blue Force, yeah.
But I think we'll keep it around there, right?
Yeah, we can keep it there for now because we're not sure. Maybe we'll play this game and we'll.
It's 4 to 6 hours, which is crazy.
Oh wow! Okay.
This looks like a 2-hour-long game.
It is giving me Police Quest vibes. So if we had Police Quest on here, I would try to maybe put it around there.
Yeah. We don't, do we? No, nope, we don't have a single Police Quest game on here. It's so weird how few of these Sierra classics we've gotten on here so far.
Yeah, I know. I'm really hoping for one soon.
And even though this game, there's clearly stuff about this game that makes me uncomfortable. I wouldn't be opposed to trying this game.
I would try. Yeah, I would try it. I gotta make sure.
Yeah, if there's something cute about it, right? Yeah. And I'll say, here's another thing. These are the guys who made Apprentice. I didn't realize that. And the Apprentice games are really good.
Okay.
Does that kick it up a few spots? Or do we leave it where it is?
Let's leave it for now, and then if we play it, we can
Good
kick it up.
point. Good point. Okay. Yeah. All This next one I've also never fucking heard of.
Oh man,
it's the
striking out.
it's the day for that, right?
Yep.
This is a psychological horror game released in 2014 by the Domaginarium.
Okay.
It's called Enola, like the
Enola.
the Enola Gay.
Okay. All right. Let me look.
Okay.
At this.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna say no. This does
Fir-
not look like I would like it.
First look, doesn't look good.
It does not.
Second look, doesn't look good. Pulled it up on
Correct.
Steam. Mixed reviews.
And you know what
all
that
right,
means.
let's look at this. Let's look at this trailer. Parts of this game are disturbing or cruel. Is the first thing, and a narrator who is not good just appeared in my headphones. There was a young girl. One day she met 3 monsters, is what he's telling me. And there's like just a shitty 3D avatar of a girl kind of dancing.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
This looks bad. Oh man, this looks bad.
How bad? Pretty bad, but how bad?
Yeah, so the bottom of our list is generally populated by ethically dubious games.
Yeah, just the worst of the worst.
We have the one where we have 2 that are
like
purely
knockoffs or something.
Purely not pirated, plagiarized.
Right.
Secret Doctrine and Limbo of the Lost.
Yeah, that's going to always be at the bottom, I think.
We have at 70. We have Blue Force at 73, which is racist. We have The Fan at 75, which is where you just torture a woman. We have
that I was actually going to ask you, where did you put The Fan, because this could be comparable to me.
Yeah, but it looks worse than The Fan. This looks kind of like what was that game that we read? Madness of the Architect.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
It kind of looks like that. Not quite as bad as Madness of the Architect. Maybe, or what's some of the other ones around there? Of Light and Darkness, The Prophecy has that disgusting early 3D look to it.
Really don't like it. Yeah.
This has the disgusting later 3D horror look to it.
Yeah, I really don't like it.
So many games had. So maybe around there, maybe like next to, above or below Of Light and Darkness, The Prophecy.
Let me remind myself of Light. God, I hate these games. I hate these titles like so much.
No, they're so bad. So like, how do you keep them in your head? They're all so, like these generic titles that are here by the bottom.
For quality alone, I would put it below Light and Darkness.
Of Light and Darkness, but above Madness of the Architect, which looked like just slop.
Above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Enola is our new number 82.
Dang.
Okay. That is our episode, folks, and maybe after our next ranking episode, we should refresh everybody and read the whole list.
Yeah, we'll do that. You know what I'm going to do?
What's that?
I am going to play
Tomatoes.
Well, no. I'm going to Naughty Tomatoes. I'm going to go play Itch Quest. Itch Simulator, I should say. And you know why?
Why?
Because it's art, just like podcast. Podcast is art.
And art, like itching and scratching, is suffer.
You got it.